How's it going, boys and girls? It's your boy Splash. I'm here with the first mock draft of the 2022 cycle. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on socials at Mr. Splashman19, Twitter and Instagram. If you are new around here, make sure you ring-a-ding-ding, that Le'Veon bell, that notification bell, so you know when we go live or when we have new videos like this. Make sure you follow U Stadium on Twitter and Instagram, and download the app, Google Play or Apple App Store. If you tag me at Splash, I can send you some points. You can get started on takes. Banger, absolute banger feature that we're rolling out. And with that said, let's get it popping with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here are my settings. We are doing it on PFF. Let me switch tabs, and here we go. Just the one round today. And let's get it started. Enter draft, start draft. So if you're the Jags, do you think about trading down? I wouldn't. I don't love Hutchinson or Thibodeaux as the number one pick in a general draft, but here we are. You could also think about going Evan Neal. I saw a mock earlier today with Ekwonu, the tackle from North Carolina State, going number one overall. I think it's an easy situation here. You get the highest upside player in the draft in Kayvon Thibodeaux, highest upside at a position of immense value. That would be an edge. You have a dynamic duo with Thibodeaux and Josh Allen, while Caleb Von Chason turns into a bust. Disaster of a pick there. Number two, the Lions, hometown kid from, I believe, Pontiac, Michigan Wolverine, Aiden Hutchinson, superstar, Heisman runner-up in 2021. Texans, this is a best player available sort of deal. My best player available is Kyle Hamilton, but I will look at this trade offer. Could Carolina make a move from 6 to 3? I'm going to say no. I think Matt Rule is tied with Sam Darnold. Nothing new there. So I will say the Texans make their selection here, and they go Kyle Hamilton, superstar safety out of Notre Dame, the modern, like the Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah role from 2020. Hamilton played that in 2021 beautifully. The Jets are on the clock. I've talked to Jets fans, particularly one of my bosses, Nick, and he's like, I don't want Stingley. I don't want Hamilton. I don't want a DB. He doesn't want anyone at 4, so he wants to trade down. Let's look at the trade options. Denver at 9, Saints at 18, Lions at 28. Saints and Lions, that's too much draft capital. Broncos at 9 is interesting because they do have 2 extra picks from the Rams with the second-round pick and the third-round pick from the Von Miller trade. But do the Jets just trade down from 4 to 9 and pick up 2 guys at 9 and 10 as opposed to a guy at 4 and 10? I think they do. I don't know if this is like going to work as a trade. If Denver's trading up from 9, they're going quarterback here. Let me offer this trade. 4 attempts remaining. Let's throw in, I don't know, 145. You try to even it out. We'll go a round 5 next year. There we go. Okay. So I don't know how realistic this trade is. I don't have the draft value chart pulled up, but the Jets send number 4, number 145, and a 5th rounder next year for the Broncos' top 2 picks in this year's draft. So the Broncos, with that pick, select my QB1. That would be Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. Giants at 5. They're a team that could think about trading down. Not going to trade with the Eagles, Chargers, Dolphins, or Chiefs, though. So they are going to take the best edge available. That would be George Karlaftis out of Purdue. Carolina could think about trading down without Corral on the board. They're not trading down with Detroit. Sorry about that. So they go. This is a pick that I really like for them. I don't know if it's necessarily the popular pick, but I like Ikem Ekwonu. Just a stellar tackle, can also play on should be able to play on the interior. So if he is your long-term for Taylor Moton, or if you want to have him compete with Brady Christensen, your tackle pick last year, I like Ekwonu a lot here at 6. 7, Giants. Let's look at the trades. Jets, not going to trade up. Bengals, Dolphins, Titans, Packers, all at the end of the round. Let's continue. Giants. This is one of my favorite picks of the entire draft. I try to do it in all of my mocks. Tyler Linderbaum. Blue chip center, perhaps the best center prospect since 2000. We are talking like Quentin Nelson, Kyle Pitts caliber of prospect. He just plays center. Falcons at 8. This is an interesting one. Could they think about a trade down? Minnesota, maybe they're in the market for a quarterback. Browns, maybe. If you're Minnesota and Cleveland, I think they are on that second list of teams that could draft a quarterback early this year. Although Minnesota did draft Kellen Mond last year, although he was a disaster this year. Saints could be interested in a quarterback. All of these top 4 teams could be interested in a quarterback. The Steelers will be, but I think they might go in-house with Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins. or look for a free agent or a trade partner like a Minshew or a Russ, a Aaron Rodgers. So I think Atlanta holds firm here, and they take. I'm gonna unveil this trade later, but they're gonna take Garrett Wilson, Ohio State wide receiver. I'm gonna explain why in a minute. Jets dropping back to 9. They could think about trading down again. Minnesota here at 12. Let's see what prospects. Could Minnesota pull the trigger on a Derek Stingley? Maybe. Let's see what Minnesota's draft capital is. Of course, these two teams traded last season. Let's go with maybe a third and a fifth. There you go. Again, I don't know off the top of my head if that's a super fair trade, but Jets trade down again. Vikings rocking and rolling at 9, take Stingley. The consensus top corner on the draft board, not necessarily my top corner. That might be a certain fella named Sauce, but good pick for Minnesota at 9. The Jets accumulate more draft capital. So for one particular reason I will get to later in the draft, the Jets on the clock at 10, they're going to take a player here, and they're going to take Evan Neal. Tremendous value at 10. He's a guy that could go number 1. Washington, they saw the Broncos be super aggressive in going after a quarterback, trading all the way up to 4 to get Matt Corral. Here, they look at a trade down. Cleveland doesn't make sense. Raiders, Chiefs, too big of a jump. So Washington, they get perhaps one of the biggest risers, I think, in the late draft process. Of course, it's all relative because it's early in the draft. And Nakobe Dean had a sensational game in the national championship for the champion Georgia Bulldogs. Hate saying that. But why not draft another linebacker to pair with Jamin Davis? Jets at 12, of course, they traded down twice to get here. They could go Charles Cross and build the greatest offensive line in human history. They could also go Sauce Gardner. They could think about a wide receiver here, get an X wide receiver to pair with Elijah Moore. They could also think about corner, not going quarterback. But one place I do think they should go here is perhaps the best corner on the board, Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. Yes, and we know he went to Cincinnati. Doesn't matter. Pretend that's Clemson. You're going to get the same caliber of player. Cleveland, they are in the need for a receiver, a number 1 wide receiver. You have Landry as like your number 2. You have Donovan Peoples-Jones as your field stretcher. You have some solid tight ends. You have an awesome running game. You have an awesome offensive line. Why not go get that number 1 prototypical X receiver, Drake London? Ravens at 14. This is a fun one. I could think of them as a trade down candidate or a trade up candidate. They have enough draft capital later in the draft that they're not going to be able to use because you're just going to run out of spots on your roster. So the Ravens are a sneaky team to either trade up into the top 10 or trade up into the later portion of the first round and get a prospect. Here, there are some enticing options. Charles Cross. I'm not so big on Baltimore drafting an offensive lineman as other people are. Certainly on the table, certainly would warrant the number 14 pick. You could also think Devin Lloyd as a great player, maybe not the biggest positional need. Trent McDuffie, Elam, of course, Elam's, I believe, nephew, Matt Elam played with the Ravens, was the number 1 pick in the 2013 draft of the Ravens won the Super Bowl. Go Ravens. For once, the Ravens do not need a wide receiver, so no Olave. Andrew Booth could be fun. David Ojabo is one that I particularly like, and that is who I'm going to pick. David Ojabo at 14, strengthen the edge room. Don't be surprised if you see Baltimore pop up later in the draft. Eagles at 15. The Eagles have very clear needs, such as wide receiver, cornerback, edge. Let's attack one of those with cornerback and grab Trent McDuffie out of Washington. They are back on the clock. Imagine that. And this time, they're going to go with the top edge available. Let me circle down to the edges. You could think about trading down if you don't see the value here. I see the value in DeMarvin Leal as I'm going to compare him to Baltimore's Calais Campbell. Not quite the same, not the same body type, but the same like inside-outside role, like a Chris Jones type. So they go with Leal with the back-to-back picks, McDuffie and Leal. And then here, this is one of the easiest picks for me of the entire draft, Jordan Davis. Let me explain this. The Chargers don't care about stopping the run. So why would they draft a run stopper? Well, when you draft a guy like Jordan Davis, he has such an impact on your team's run defense that it helps you play the kind of football that Brandon Staley wants his defense to play, which is over the top, don't allow any big plays. When you play a guy like Davis, you discourage the run. So you're encouraging teams to pass the ball into your scheme and throw interceptions and, make bad decisions. Why? Because Jordan Davis takes up the role of more than one player in run defense. This is what Damon Harrison did with the Giants and Lions and Jets. This is what Calais Campbell does. This is what these huge defensive or interior defensive presences, that's what they do. They adjust your game plan. It's almost like instead of investing in several players to do one role, right? Instead of investing several picks into your interior and bolstering it through depth, you bolster it through having one superstar that can take the role of multiple run fits on a run play. So Jordan Davis of the Chargers makes perfect sense to me. Saints, this might be controversial. I'm not looking at quarterback. I will look at a trade. Bills doesn't make sense. Jameson Williams, I've penciled this one in for months now. You have some speed. You're probably getting Michael Thomas back. I hope for the sake of the Saints they have Michael Thomas back. So now you have a 1-2 punch with a possession type, slot type in Michael Thomas, and then a speedster in Jameson Williams. Eagles back on the clock, and this is where I'm going to use a very specific trade. And we have the number 19 pick in the NFL draft for Calvin Ridley. So instead of drafting a wide receiver for the third year in a row, they trade their third first-round pick, their own first-round pick, actually. The Falcons at 19. That's why they take Garrett Wilson at 8. And now you are set up to take a defensive player because you have one of the worst defenses in NFL history. And if David Ojabo was on the board, he would be the easy pick. Let's scroll through some options here. You could go for a second corner to pair with A.J. Terrell, like a Roger McCleary. You could go with the local kid, Lewis Sine, Arnold, Ebikite, Drake Jackson. Those are all interesting options, but I do think the value here is taking Devin Lloyd. You get another linebacker in the room. You have Deion Jones. You have Foye Oluokun. Deion Jones is on the decline. Oluokun is a very nice player. Didn't grade out that well this year, but he is a nice player. Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to lean quarterback in free agency or through trade. So offensive line here, Charles Cross, Mississippi State, great value. Patriots at 21. Can't give them Drake London. Sad. But I do think you go after another wide receiver, and you want like a different body type. So Chris Olave, best route runner. Like you have your route runner type, right? Jahan Dotson. Only 5'11". Not exactly ideal. Treylon Burks. He has the size and speed you want in a prototypical X receiver. Treylon Burks, welcome to Foxborough. Raiders at 22. This is another spot you could go corner. This is a spot you could go defensive back. And I think you're thinking, to me, this pick is either replacing Damon Arnett or Henry Ruggs, one or the other. If you have Jameson Williams, like for like comparison there. But I would go Kaiir Elam is a great value here. Andrew Booth is a great value here. Pick your poison there, whatever one you would like to fit in your scheme, whatever one you believe is more scheme dependent. You could go Roger McCreary as well. Ultra smooth corner. Okay, great. We don't exactly know what the Raiders draft strategy is going to be this year because Mike Mayock is out of town. But if there's anything we know about the Raiders, they like speed and they like big name colleges. Florida, Clemson, and Auburn all fit the mold. Let's go with Kaiir Elam at 22. Cardinals, it could go a lot of different ways. They could go interior, offense, or defense. They could go with a wide receiver, replace A.J. Green, get a nice number 2 to DeAndre Hopkins. You could also go secondary. Probably not going to go linebacker, sadly. Regardless, they're not going quarterback. We know that. So you look at the options here. You have Olave, who'd be a super smooth route runner with DeAndre Hopkins. I actually like that pick a lot. I'll just close it out. No more discussion. Chris Olave to Arizona at 23. Dallas at 24. I think the obvious need here is defensive back, whether that's corner, whether that's safety. Why not get the best of both worlds and take Daxton Hill? He's listed as a corner. He can play safety. He can play in the slot. He can do it all in the defensive backfield. Very like a Kyle Hamilton light almost. Let's go Hill. Don't look too much into him playing corner. He's more of a star defender, to use some Saban terminology, as like a kind of free safety, like a Minkah Fitzpatrick almost. Can play slot, can play free, whatever you need him to do. Cincinnati, you can look at offensive line. whether it's Bernard Raymond. You can look at corner. You can look at Kenyon Green. I actually have mocked Kenyon Green to the Bengals before recently. Lewis Sign as like a third safety for the time being. You could add more to the edge room with Arnold or Drake Jackson. Let's look at the trade. Green Bay at 32. I don't think they're trading up for anyone. So I do like Kenyon Green here, 25. Bolster that interior. You have your tackle of the future in Jonah Williams playing left. You have Riley Reif, who's a question mark at right tackle. Jackson Carman's also on the interior of that line. You have a lot of different options to go with. Miami here, I have mocked them Devin Lloyd about a million times. I don't know if they necessarily do that. Let's look at the trades. I don't think the Lions trade up 2 spots. So you look at what do the Dolphins need? I think you go with another offensive lineman. We're going to go with Bernard Raymond, the former tight end. The former collegiate tight end had an awesome year with Central Michigan. Let's go with him. Throw another guy into that room and hope that something sticks. Buffalo at 27. This is a serious trade down candidate. And let me go through some teams that I think could trade up. If you are interested in a quarterback, I'll pull up the quarterbacks real quick. If you're interested in Howell, Ritter, Pickett, Strong, Willis, Bailey Zapp, maybe. Those are the guys that could go first round. Zapp is a bit of an outlier, but if you are interested in a quarterback, you think about trading up, just like the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson. Chiefs doesn't make sense. Bucks doesn't make sense. So some teams that could trade up, Pittsburgh could trade up and take a quarterback. Baltimore, I think, is a sneaky trade up candidate because they have tons of 3rd and 4th round picks. You could also go, the Jets could trade up. They have the 2nd round pick from Carolina, and I had them accumulating draft picks by trading down from 4 to 9 to 12. So if you want to reinvest those in a way and trade up to 31 or 32, that's on the table. So with Buffalo, I think their pick here is Andrew Booth. You add another cornerback to that room, so you have 2 star corners in White and Booth now, and you have 2 star safeties in Hyde and Poyer. Awesome secondary. Let me sneeze first. I think I can hold off on my sneeze. Lions, this is the easiest pick in the draft. I will look at the trades. No trades. They need a second receiver. And I know you could go quarterback here. I know you could go other positions. But I think you look at wide receiver, and one guy, David Bell, jumps off the page to me. So I'm leaning 2 options here, or you could think about Wan'Dale Robinson. He's going to be rising up draft boards very soon. I'm thinking David Bell or Jahan Dotson, whoever you think is going to be the better receiver out of there. I'll go to Jahan Dotson for this. If you get that wide receiver 2, then you have 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, TJ Hawkinson's 2 star tackles, and the best center in the NFL, Frank Ragnow. That's going to be awesome for your 2023 pick at quarterback. Chiefs at 29. They are in an interesting position here that they don't have any explicit needs. So I think this is a trade down candidate. If you're looking at a quarterback, Sam Howell, Des Ridder. If you are looking at a different position and you are Kenny Pickett. If you're looking at if you are a team like the Jets or Ravens that have a lot of draft capital and you want to move back in and get that 5th year option, like the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson a few years ago, like a Brisker or a Jermaine Johnson, or if you go with Kingsley, again, quarterback, Zion Johnson. So one interesting thing that I have that could potentially happen is the Jets trading up here. So they're going from 36 to 29. They tack on I believe this was the 3rd. I gave them this 3rd in an earlier trade. And let's tack on 161. We'll give a comp pick back. See, this is finicky because I don't have the trade formula pulled up. Okay. That is not quite working. Okay, no trades. Okay, the Chiefs must take a player here. Bolster the defensive back room. Get Roger McCreary out of Auburn. Throw more resources at corner. Throw more resources at safety. We are going to try with the Jets trade once again. Slide up, 6 spots from 36 to 30. And let's tack on, I don't know, the Carolina 108. Really? Are they like not accepting trades today? Because are they going to accept this? No, this is how, I don't know. PFF, I don't know what you're doing here. This seems like the easiest trade of all time. I don't know why they aren't trading up, but that is neither here nor there. So Tampa is in a eerily similar situation to Dallas and Kansas City in that they don't have particular needs, but they secretly do. That would be wide receiver because Antonio Brown is out. Chris Godwin is injured and likely or unlikely to return. So I think this is a potential David Bell landing spot. You get a running back for Mike Evans. We're going to try desperately here. Jets, Titans, trade. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think this is going to work. I don't know why these aren't working. Okay, this is not obviously not a real trade. I just want it to go through for my specific point. Okay. PFF is not helping me out here. Tennessee, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think Tennessee is a quarterback spot. With Tannehill, he is on the, I believe now on the wrong side of 30. He did not have his best season as a member of the Titans. So why not go kill several birds with one stone? So here you get a 5th-year option on your quarterback. So you're keeping some like fish in the Tannehill bowl, right? So you are not turning away from Tannehill, but you're saying, okay, this is a very Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson, that you're saying, okay, we have 5 years to evaluate our quarterback. That means our incumbent, whether that's Flacco, whether that's Rodgers, or now Tannehill, you can say, okay, Tannehill, take the next 3 years, take the next 4 years even, and we're going to have a Kenny Pickett behind you. Kenny Pickett at Pittsburgh just grew and grew and grew. He was one of the most improved players in FBS year after year after year. And there's a huge jump from 2020 to 2021. And if he gets to sit and learn behind Tannehill, I think there's a lot of good that can come from that. Packers, there's 2 teams I think that could trade up. I'll try the Jets. I doubt it happens, but let's offer trade. Okay. I think Baltimore could trade up here. Use an extra 3rd or an extra 4th. So, okay. PFF isn't accepting those trades, but if the Jets traded up, there are a couple players that I would look at. Of course, earlier in the round, they picked up Evan Neal, Ahmad Gardner. So you're not going to go double dip at those positions, but a couple players that could be on your radar if you're trading up and you're the Jets. Arnold, Drake Jackson, Cameron Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, Kingsley, Trayvon Walker, Myjie Sanders. You also can think, this is an interesting one. Pick your favorite tight end. And of course, PFF is going to screw me there. Okay. Whether that's Weidermeyer, whether that's Trey McBride, either one of these two, if you think, okay, well, we want Zach Wilson to have a weapon. We want him to have a go-to tight end. McBride had a ridiculous season with the Colorado State Rams. Weidermeyer, not quite as ridiculous of a season in SEC play, but an awesome tight end nonetheless. If I am Baltimore and thinking about trading up here, the obvious, you have a Lewis Sign, you have a Jaquan Brisker. If you like another one of these safeties, you could also go corner with a Jalen Petrie, Kobe Bryant, not that Kobe, but Darian Kendrick, some fun names there. In general, other positions, there are some quarterbacks that could go here. Ritter, Howell, Trevor Penning, offensive tackle, could go here. Devontae Wyatt could go here as an interior player. Daniel Falal, the massive sensation with the Minnesota Golden Gophers, scored a touchdown in their bowl game. Sky Moore as a wide receiver, maybe not. Carson Strong, Zion Johnson. If you think about interior guys, or Strong's of course a quarterback, Zion is a interior. Kenneth Watt, if you want to go running back, Buffalo has thought about running back. Devin Singletary had a great game in the wild card round, so I wouldn't necessarily go there. Darian Kennard could go. Malik Willis, a flyer on a quarterback. Christian Harris, he's a sneaky guy. I had him actually slip into be my number 32 pick in a recent mock that I did on the U Stadium app. Make sure you download so you can check it out. Harris could be a guy that flies up. Trey McBride could be a guy that flies up. But if the Packers are on the clock, they are going to be really upset that there's no quarterbacks. So let's see. or no wide receivers available. Their popular picks: Olave gone, Dotson gone, Burks gone, Davis actually gone as well, Raymond gone as well. But 43% wide receiver, 20% edge, 10% tackle, 10% defensive interior. And if you go to draft a player, let me sneeze. Where do you go here? Do you double dip with edge and go get a pair for Rashawn Gary moving forward? I don't think you go safety because they like what they have in Savage and Amos. You're obviously not going quarterback because you have two. Do you think about tacking on another offensive tackle? Maybe you do that. Do you reach for a wide receiver? Let me pull up the wide receivers available. I believe Sky Moore, Tolbert, Justin Ross, Khalil Shakir, John Mechie, George Pickens, Romeo Dobbs. One guy I want to look at is Wan'Dale Robinson. He had a huge year with Kentucky. He was the third-ranked wide receiver by PFF. And I think he might be an interesting foil in the Packers offense. He's listed as almost a gadget player, but as we can see, the Packers are going to play a certain Deebo Samuel, who was seen as a little bit of a gadget player. So I don't know how well that game's going to go for the Niners and the Niners and the Packers, but Wan'Dale Robinson is a guy that I want to focus on here, and he's a guy that I could sneak into the end of the first round, could go early in the second round, just with a run on wide receivers like a Dotson and a Bell are going 28 and 30, or you have Olave at 23, Burks at 21. Like Drake London went all the way up at 13. Like if you have like a Calvin Ridley trade and the Falcons are in the market for a wide receiver and that just pushes all the wide receivers up, I think Wan'Dale Robinson could be the big beneficiary there. So we'll go with Robinson there. So here we go. Thibodeaux, Hutchinson, Hamilton. I think that's a solid top three. Denver trades up for Matt Corral, Karlaftis, Ekwonu, Linderbaum, Wilson. Then we have the trade. Stingley with the Vikings trading up, Evan Neal, Nakobe Dean, Ahmad Sauce Gardner, Drake London, Dave Ajabo, Trent McDuffie, DeMarvin Leal, Jordan Davis, Jameson Williams, Devin Lloyd, Charles Cross, Treylon Burks, Khair Elam, Chris Olave, Daxton Hill, Kenyon Green, Bernard Raymond, Andrew Booth, Jahan Dotson, Roger McCreary, and then PFF kind of screwed me as we have some racers outside. PFF screwed me. I wanted to trade out of one of these picks. David Bell, Kenny Pickett, Wan'Dale Robinson. Do not be surprised if you see Wan'Dale Robinson sneak into the second round or even the late first, because wide receivers across the league are super, like, incredibly important. It's having two wide receivers is the new one. Having three wide receivers is the new two. So if you want to compete, you need good wide receivers. Every team left in the playoffs right now has like an elite go-to wide receiver, whether it's Deebo or Adams or Mike Evans or Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, or Kelsey, whoever you want to count there, and then AJ Brown, Julio Jones. So they say elite wide receivers don't win Super Bowls. All right, then explain to me why a top 15 wide receiver is going to win a Super Bowl this year. No matter who wins the Super Bowl, a top 15 wide receiver is going to win the Super Bowl. And I believe all three first team All Pros, which would be Kupp, Deebo, and Adams, all three are left. And then you have a second teamer in Chase, and Jefferson, of course, did not make the playoffs as the other second teamer. So again, wide receivers. Having two is the new three, or having three is the new two, having two is the new one. And with that said, folks, thank you for watching my first mock draft of this cycle. Make sure you follow me at Mr. Splashman19 on Twitter and Instagram if you want to see more mock draft content. I post on the app, the U Stadium app, all the time. Make sure you engage. You can even make draft takes if you think Wan'Dale Robinson is going to go in the first round, like I predicted him to go today. Why not? I'll throw some points on it. So with that said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.